Very excited to be here. We are Datoria, or Datoria. So I'm going to show you a map of Europe. This is air quality index from an hour ago. And as you can imagine, the colors speak for themselves. Green is kind of so okay. Red is bad. Yellow still bad. If you look closely, we have our very beautiful and clean Stockholm up there, still having some problems with air pollution. Now, here is a 24-hour schematic of two main pollutants. And as you can see, these different colors represent different neighborhoods in Stockholm area. So as you can see, there are two peaks to these pollutants during the morning and afternoon rush hours. So keep this in mind. Now, do you think this is a problem? Is this bad? In fact, I can tell you this is a 3.2 billion euro problem. This is just 1 year, this is just Sweden, and this is just health cost. It means doctor visit, hospital expenses, medication, and I'm not counting the costs of lost hours to do all these activities. And by the way, these numbers are from WHO report, so they're quite reliable. Is that it? There is also a human cost here. Premature deaths yearly, just in Sweden, over 1,000 people. In Europe, 660,000 almost. So we would like to tackle this issue because we want to live in a better society, right? So if you remember those schematics, we had those peaks, and those are dangerous hours of the day that cause most of the problem. So we have this idea of trim the peak. So if we can manage the pollution at those peak hours, then this will reduce most of the problem. We have the example of Shanghai Expo actually. So what they do is to have a clean environment during the expo, they just cut down all the construction work and all the traffic and everything. Pollution management can be done by forecasting pollution, like a weather forecast. So if you are able to forecast pollution, you can plan, you can manage pollution because it's a result of human activity, right? And we can do macro management citywide and micromanagement neighborhood-wide. How to do that? We can use current data set and we will develop a stochastic mathematical model, and then we will have these predictions. So a number of use cases for this. If I know tomorrow in Kista there's going to be a peak for pollution, I can give incentives and discounts for public transportation so people would be more inclined to use public transportation. I can postpone any scheduled infrastructure maintenance work that would cause traffic. I can lower speed limits in major roads because the lower the speed of the car, the lower the pollution. These are just a number of use cases. Our intended customers are mostly governmental entities, urban transportation bodies, city administration bodies. I mean, in Stockholm area we have like around 15 communes, if I'm not mistaken. In the future, this can be expanded to other businesses, private businesses. So it's a subscription-based service. And we will provide the customer with prediction, we'll provide them with warnings and alerts, and in the long term we are planning to release this data leaf service, which can be used with connected devices like digital traffic signs. So without any management, it receives the alert, it lowers the speed limit, and etc. Our initial intended market is the Nordic region. So these are basically the major cities in the Nordic region, and we are going to start with Stockholm. Now, if you get back to the cost, both economical cost and the human cost, you would understand that why European Commission and European Union is pushing for smart cities, and they are really supporting this, and a lot of money is being invested in such projects. So this is a rough roadmap for our startup. We will start with the current dataset, available dataset for Stockholm, and eventually we will expand to other cities. We are planning to get help from Ericsson, because they have expertise in communication with buses, so we can mount sensors on city buses. This is an efficient way, because with minimal number of sensors, you can cover the populated parts of the city. This is our team. We have different expertise in math, in communication, in distributed systems, in embedded systems, specifically for those smart devices, smart traffic signs. So what does the future holds for our company? This is the map of Europe. This is China. So as you can see, our business is a scalable business, and there are endless number of customers that would like to use our services. I would like to thank you, and I'm standing by for any questions.
Great presentation. Team, please stand up for what are the questions for Datoria? Johan?
So why did you choose to start in Sweden instead of like China? Because it seems like the pain point or the problem is much bigger there, right?
Yes, so I can think of a number of reasons. Here, first off, because of the transparency, you have better access to data. This is one. Another would be, support for startups. A third one would be a better organized public transportation system, which one of the incentives was using this transportation system and have more people using it instead of their personal cars. So, and another reason that I can think of, because it's not in the purple level, it's in the yellow level, so we can get quicker results and gain experience for the worst cases.
Other questions?
So, just a small question. I mean, a lot of your business depends on getting real-time data pollution, right?
Not just real-time data, it's a combination of real-time and historical data. So,
I mean, so how crucial is this cooperation with Ericsson? I mean, you said.
For example, think of a city that doesn't have a well-implemented sensor grid. So you don't want to invest a lot of money right away to build this grid. So with minimum number of sensors on city buses.
Yes, I understand, but if that cooperation will not happen, how can you survive as a company? I mean, that's my
Why it wouldn't happen?
That's the risk.
It's beneficial for both parties.
Just to chip in, I mean, there's an explosion actually in data and in air quality sensors as well. It's one of the sensors that is exploding. I think you've looked at one of them as well, and it's all over the place. So this kind of data.
So there might be other sources.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Key is really the prediction of the pollution. How do you think, how accurate will you be to predict it? And how are you going to do it?
Well, it's basically ends up in the math part. So the more detailed historical data, and this can be also an answer for a gentleman's question, because here we have already a set up grid which is recording data from years ago.
Yeah.
So the more data you have, you can come up with a more accurate model. And it also involves, of course, other things like weather, elevation of the place, I mean, local characteristics, so you should consider all this.
So machine learning is what the key, right?
It's also a part of it.
We have another question?
Well, I don't know about how they implemented the actual change of behavior in the expo, but how do you plan to influence the decision takers to change behavior or change the model of the modus operandi to improve the actual level of the pollution?
I would say the numbers speak for themselves, and the 3.2 billion, it's 0.9% of a year's GDP for Sweden. So I believe already interest is there because they are already monitoring this.
That's not the question is how will they change? How will you make them change their behavior? That's not an easy thing.
People, you mean?
The decision takers or people, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't help measuring things. You have to change behavior.
So there was a slide there, you might go back to that.
I don't understand the question because
Because
this.
Well, if you want to reduce
you force-
pollution, something has to
So
change.
I can try to answer your question.
Doesn't matter- it hasn't
In
matter.
Shanghai, there was a World Expo,
Yeah.
and you can actually it's really awesome to watch the ppm data for Shanghai. So you have this count, and it's beautiful, and it's high, and it's disgusting. I don't know if you've been there. It's a horrible city. Go to you can't see. And when the expo was about to come up, you have a curve that goes boom. So they just decided we don't want pollution during the expo, and they closed down all construction site.
That's my question.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So that's-
These guys need to do that.
Yeah.
It's not-
Actually,
And that's exactly what they're doing.
actually, I can answer that. It's basically a public strategy of the Swedish government as far as we have researched. It is already,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're already intending to do this.
Yeah, I understand that, but
So let's take this discussion
it's really,
later.
really difficult.
Well, that's
So, sorry, I need to sort of stop here. We have to wrap up here. This team is here. There will be beer. There will be plenty of time to discuss. I've had lots of discussion with this group. It's very interesting. Thank you.